boom, 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 boom. Hello? Are you kidding me? On the last episode, I seriously, I will kill you, everyone, you piece of. Oh, you look like this on you. Oh, you little shit. How's it going, everyone? My name is Microcosm, and welcome to episode 31 and the final episode of this Let's Play series. That's right, we have reached the finale, and we've done quite a lot in our world. I think we've gotten pretty much everything we meant to do, everything we set out to do done, barring a couple of little bits and pieces and tidying up here and there. Now, I have prepared a couple of little updates for you today, little things to show that haven't been shown before. But other than that, we're going to do a nice world tour, a walkthrough to show you and anybody who might be new what we've done over the last few months in this world. Now, we have pre-OGs and OGs out there, and they know this world upside down and inside out. But bear with me, there will be some new stuff for you. But also, there's a lot of stuff that even I have forgotten in this world. All over the place. There's things that I haven't been into or I haven't looked at for a long time. So I'm sure for some of you, it's going to jog your memory, or it might be something that you haven't seen before, because not everybody can watch every episode, right? So before we get into all the built-up area of the village, I thought we might have a little nostalgia tour back to our original spawn. And episode 1, we spawned in right about here. And in retrospect, it's not a bad place to spawn in. There's a nice mountains in the background, we have a village nearby, plenty of plains to build on, and we could have done something with this right here, but I had the adventurous spirit in me and I wanted to... Oh look, I never saw that before. We had a villager outpost right next to us, so maybe we made the right decision in moving along. Although, look at this. Wow. That's an interesting spot. Look at, you could make a little hobbit hole in here. There's a place for a portal right over there. Hey, listen, there's no point in getting all weepy-eyed about what we might have done here, I suppose. But yeah, dangerous spot to set up house if you were going to... Hello, very dangerous. I'll be on my way. Thanks, mate. You've just confirmed for me. Not the best place to start off. But we have a nice flower forest here as well we could have done something with. However, we got the itchy feet and started exploring instead. So the first place that we visited, of course, was this little village here. And I came in all excited, looking to meet some new friends, and this was the first building that I came into, and there was nobody here that I could see until I got into the heart of the village. I was really wondering if there was no villagers in this place by the time I got up to here. Of course, we have cats now. You can see that we certainly do have some villagers around, but this is my first contact with civilization when I first spawned in. And although there was plenty of resources here to be plundered, I decided to let them be and let them live. I took one bed from that house right there, and that was my first sleep was in that bed. I need to find a place to put my head down right now, as a matter of fact, or we're going to end up killing this village for our last episode. Which is not the way we want to go out, is it? No. Anyway, there was this guy here, remember him? He was trading this sweeping edge sword, which I later came back and fulfilled my promise to this guy to trade with him many episodes later when I found this village again. But I thought that's a nice little nostalgia back to episode 1, back to the first place. This is our little spawn place. And whilst we could have built this up and maybe what could have been with this village, that's not what we did. We headed off in this direction and we came upon the place that we ended up calling home. And of course, that doesn't feel like a very long distance. when you've got Elytra and you've got rockets now, but back when it was me little legs and it was boats, it took a bloody long time to get here. And we checked out this area and we found that we've got this interesting looking mountain over here, which later became Mine Mountain, and we'll visit that a little bit later. But this is the spot that we decided to choose, given that there was a few biomes around us, and a llama looking right at us. Do you mind, mate? I'm busy, thanks. And this was episode 1. This house here, the house on the hill. And I'll be honest, I was new to all this, so this was my first effort at recording building a house. And I hope you thought it went okay. It went, looking back on it, it went all right. Maybe could have been better. But this is the house that I came up with for this and plonked it right on top of this hill here, which needed a little terraforming before I even started, to be honest. So that took quite a while. And here I was, head in hands, wondering if I could do this thing at all because it took so bloody long to record this episode. And then I was getting the hang of replay mod as well and trying to get used to the thing, and of course not being able to do interiors at all, which hasn't changed from episode 1 to episode 31, but maybe I've improved slightly because this is pretty empty. Are you the same dude? Yeah, you will have seen at the start there. Not too impressed with these guys. Yeah. Anyone who's been around for a while knows that I spent literally months, many episodes, waiting to get sea pickles from these guys because I didn't have any and I wanted it for my decoration and my uber excellent interiors that I'm doing now, right? Just mentioned. And could I get a sea pickle? No, not a bugger around would give me a sea pickle. So this guy turning up literally on episode 31, the final episode, is a bit of a kick where you don't want to be kicked. But nonetheless, between then and now, I had gotten, just a couple of episodes ago, I think I got that, which was some coral block that I could grow sea pickles on. And from my one sea pickle that I had previously, I collected out in the world, I was able to get some sea pickles. So bugger yous all, I'll do it myself. Let's continue with the tour and have a look at where we went next. The next job, of course, as with any Minecraft world, was to dig a hole and get mining. And this is Mine Mountain, which looked a fair bit different when we started it. Literally just being a hole in the ground. Now it's a little bit different. You can see that it's got a little more story to it. Although I never did develop this thoroughly. Pretty much when I built it, I set this up inside and it hasn't changed a hell of a lot since. Downstairs, down here, downstairs, down in the big drop. Thanks for hurting me knees. This is what happens, I suppose, to everybody. You start out and you do your little mine, your hole, and eventually with these worlds you don't need them anymore, so you don't progress much further, as you can see by blank wall behind doors. But this one has some stuff behind it. Yeah, we developed this a little bit over time so that it looks a little more miney, you know, and we even have a track down here with some rail carts and things, so you can pop yourself into a rail car to get you all the way down along this tunnel where I've been digging furiously to get my lovely diamonds and bits and pieces. Not much else down there, so we'll pop back up. This, by the way, anybody who hasn't seen this, I'm sure most of you have, but this is my favorite disposal method rather than build complicated bins or anything like that. Put a hole in the ground, put some lava in it, and put a wall above it. Doesn't matter what kind of wall, put it between two blocks like that, and you can walk right up to this. You're not going to get hurt. But if you throw something at it, which I'm not going to because I don't, I could probably spare a torch. There you go. Disposed. Careful not to lose anything in there, but other than that, it's a good way to make a bin, and it's probably one of my more favorite ways to make a disposal bin. Doesn't really work in a house, for example, might not look right, but other than that, it's pretty good and efficient. Out here we have another early episode build, which is our bridge. Let's grab a boat so I can have a look at it from another angle. And this bridge was a relatively big build for me back at that time, because I don't think I'd done very many bridges, certainly not of this scale. So it took a little bit of time for me to get this right. Again, right now it looks pretty simple compared to some of the stuff that we did later on, but it serves the purpose, and honestly it still looks fairly good from this perspective, doesn't it? And it's definitely made the connection between Mine Mountain and the village. Other things to notice around this area are piles of ore, which aren't naturally generated. Obviously they get put there, telling the story of the miners bringing out the resources and putting them onto this crane to be loaded up onto our ship, which we can have a look at from here. This is a trade ship coming in from faraway lands, and if I was to continue this world for much longer, I probably would have relocated to those faraway lands and built the story of that land as well. But since we're moving to 118, we're going to be starting fresh in a new world anytime now. So this ship was also one of the first ships that I've ever built, and I'm quite happy with it. Its shape being a little bit stunted, it's not super long, is in keeping with the period, which is slightly medieval. So this is a style of ship that existed back then, and I tried to keep to it to some extent. In here we actually have some resources knocking around. Yeah, we got dark prismarine here, so I used this as I used a few places for spread out storage, which seemed a good idea in the beginning and turned out later on to just be a pain in the ass. But I have storage kind of in different spots that might make sense to the story rather than being centralized. And whilst that's nice story wise, it gets a little bit old when you've got a big build and you have to go back and forth trying to collect things. So I don't recommend it, folks, unless you've got Elytra early on. Down here we actually have a hold in this ship, so it is empty, and it's got lots of places where I've been keeping some other things as well. Yeah, so it's a good spot for storage. If you wanted to build this yourself, it's a really nice place to put some things. You could nearly live in this, to be honest. It's got plenty of space for that. But yeah, this was fun to build, I'll be honest. Oh, he got all the way up there. I was wondering where he was. This is our man that we rescued. Hey dude, do you want to come down and maybe are you going up to the crow's nest to see what's what? Can I help you down? Can you not die? Maybe this is a bad idea. Shall we try not to kill him? All right, well, he's a proper sailor, I suppose. He's climbing the rigging. Yeah, we had a problem with that fella. He was out there in the ocean constantly, and I used to keep bringing him back in, and every time I did, he'd still make his way out there. I still, to this day, have no idea where he thought he was going, but we finally relocated him onto this ship, and he seems happy here now, so he found his vocation. While we're out here in the ocean looking at the ship, we might as well head over in this direction, which, a few hundred blocks away, we got really lucky. In one episode, people who will have been watching will remember that I went on a hunt expecting a long journey to be able to find... What was I looking for? I was trying to get a trident, I think. I was on the hunt for something else, but kind of hoping in the back of my mind that we might find a temple, an ocean temple, and we happened to find one, as you can see, not that far from our original village. So what could I do but clear it out, of course, and build myself a guardian farm. There's not much to see inside the temple itself because all it is completely empty. We still have our conduit at the front. I never took that back, though I probably should have for you guys. But yeah, as you can see inside here, it is drained of all water, but it's completely empty, nothing else to see. And after forgetting that I have Elytra and rockets now, and climbing all the way up along there, we can, every time, I swear, we can have a look down and show you exactly how efficient this thing is. So as long as you're up here, you're safe, you're covered over, phantoms or nothing can get you, and this thing will just continue to spawn guardians, drag it into the central area there, which of course is some portals going into the nether, and on the other side is a killing chamber, which I'll show you in a little bit, that kills off the guardians and gets their goodies from them. So let's go back towards the village, and through our portal there, and I'll show you the other side of that. And so we come back towards the mining area, the mine mountain area, I should say, because we're going to go in through the front door of this thing once more to climb up towards our nether portal. I left this quite raw, and I did it on purpose. The whole feeling for some of the storyline through this village is that there's some furtive goings on, and this is why this method of getting up towards the portal is necessary. It couldn't be stared up or very obvious to many of the villagers, because the person living in that house there, just in that house, is the one that knows that this exists. Because as you can see, you can't see that from down there on this angle. So he's the only one that knows it exists, and he's the one that goes back and forth occasionally to the nether. And the idea is that only he manages to swim up that waterfall and knows that this entrance is here. So let's follow his footsteps and go on through to the other side. This is an absolute mess, and the reason is, one episode I got absolutely fed up with coming in here and getting taken care of by these guys, and of course by the hoglins. So I just buttoned the whole damn place up so that I wouldn't have to deal with it anymore. So let's have a little look-see at what I was talking about. Oh yeah, over here. Down here is the other side to that guardian farm. So you can see we come into some temple-y style architecture, and we just have a hell of a lot of storage down here. Up there we have a portal that comes in here, and it's very simple. That's just surrounded by glass, and then the guardians fall down onto these campfires, get burned up, and their items go into hoppers and then fill up these chests, which are, as you can see, pretty full, even though I emptied them out pretty recently for more prismarine blocks, because I needed a lot for that iron tower that we built around the iron farm, if you've been watching. Over this side, and very quickly, I'll show you one of the areas, and there's not very many, that are not really finished. This one was meant to be decorated, but I never really got around to it, and so it's just a hole in the ground still, really. But this was a fun spot for us, because we put some chests in here, and over here I've got potions of fire resistance, and my preferred method for mining in the nether was to get down to level 15 and suck down a potion of fire resistance and get my pickaxe out and just run like the clappers as far as I could in that direction until I could run no more, and then hopefully make it back before my fire resistance wore off, so that I wouldn't have to be picking my way back real slowly. It's a lot of fun. Go watch the episode if you're interested in seeing those kinds of shenanigans. Back in here we've got an old school elevator, right, with the mine carts sitting on ladders, and that gets us up and down without having to use water, of course, in the nether. Not a good idea. While we're here, it's moving a little further on, because it was a little later in the series. We busted our way up onto the nether roof, which is cheaty, isn't it? I don't care, it was fun. We made a hole after that using a TNT contraption, and whilst we were up here, decided to make ourselves a gold farm rather than do it below the nether roof. We made it up here, and so I'll fly my way over there and show you what that looked like, because underneath we proceeded to make ourselves a piglin trading hall. And as that appears in front of us, it looks pretty ominous, doesn't it? Pretty cool. So up here is our gold farm, and you guys will have seen plenty of designs quite like this, I'm sure. Nice and easy to get into once you don't have to use the ladders and everything. But we stand here We take out our bow and we smack one of these guys with an arrow, and all the rest of them come running towards us into this area here. They drop down into this minecart here, which has stacked a few minecarts in it, and then entity cramming does the rest, pulls our items down into this setup here, which spits them down into a glass tube, wherein they get pulled into a sorting system down below. So let me show you that. Once those items from the gold farm make their way down here, we just want to keep the nuggets for the most part, right? There are some rotten fleshes as well, and this is probably full up because we have never even taken these out. I kept them just in case I wanted to trade, you know, bring them to a cleric and trade some up, but we had a better way of trading for our items, or for our emeralds, so I didn't end up doing that. But here we've got plenty of gold nuggets. You can AFK at that very easily, at that farm, and get your gold nuggets up, and then they'd be made into gold ingots to feed these guys here. And these guys, oh, this was a big build, but one that I was quite proud of, because this is all automated. Let me show you some of the back of this. So back here we have an Etho hopper clock which powers this whole damn thing, right? You put some items in there and that starts kicking it off so that we get power occasionally to this line, and there's one across the back there as well that spits ingots out into our little containers for our piglins, which is at the front there, and then they will trade with us. All of this, of course, is powered by this, which allows us to pump ingots into these piglins and keep them fed. It all makes sense in a minute. I'm going to actually turn this on so you can see it in operation. So we'll throw in a few of those prismarine slabs, and at the front here, our guys any second should get their hands on some ingots, and you should see them all trade up all at the same time. And there they go. Everybody's got their ingot. And then they have a little inspect, and oh, we get something from everyone. Now, underneath them is a hopper, so everybody gets their item collected, and then down below there is another item sorting system. Very efficient. We get a lot of items from these guys, as much blackstone as we want, which was the most important thing, I think, because I needed and wanted blackstone to build with. But we've also got plenty of items here, other things like these arrows that I've been using just cause. That's all this is down here though, just a storage area essentially. And if I turn this off, I won't run out of ingots for those guys, otherwise I'll have to AFK all over again. The actual face of this building is pretty ominous as well, isn't it? So the idea was this is an ancient building. There's a few of those around the world, giving an indication that there was a civilization here previously that did some building and then disappeared or integrated to new civilizations. So as you can see, the idea is that it was built by the same people that built the Guardian farm, obviously, and then this collection system was surrounded by prismarine. And then over time, it was scorched by the heat of the nether. So you have these black lines running up the sides of the building, and it looks a little charred and worn and semi-destroyed. And I think that kind of concludes our nether portion of the tour, because we have stairs down here and a little semi-roadway, but for the most part there's nothing much down there. We went across that direction and found our fortress, and that's where we got our blaze rods and our wither skulls, etc. But other than that, there's not much else built in here. I didn't spend a hell of a lot of time in the nether, mostly because I didn't like that area that we spawned into. Now I'm going to stick to using the boats and walking around for the most part. I will do some flying later to show you everything from the sky, though you've seen some of it already. We're going to do our tour from ground level because I think it looks better from that. It gives you a better perspective of where you are in the world, I think. So we'll boat our way around here to our little dock area, which I quite like. I think it's cute and tells a story as well, because it's a big part of our village is the dock area. and a fishing industry, which this guy helps to support, right? So we get up here, we meet our first animal friend that we have. His name is Docker. He lives on the dockside. He keeps all the rats and the mice and everything at bay in this area. And in this region, we did a little bit of interior work as well for some of these dockside workers. We have accommodation for the sailors that will come in and out as well, with some nice trunks at the end of the bed and simple things like that, you know. We also had a captain's hut down at this end. I think there was, one or two. This one even has an upstairs. And we've got our nets and our storage and bits and pieces, of course, on the dock as well, which adds to the whole look of the place, I think. We also had this little crane idea here. It's a dredge, really. So it rolls out and keeps the dockside clear, because you need to dredge up the dock occasionally to stop the silt from building up. And maybe they're hunting to drag something up from the bottom as well. Who knows? They're very mysterious in their ways, the docksiders. Which brings us around to our library area. Now, this one was fun to build, mostly because, well, I say fun, tongue-in-cheek, say fun. We still have the gang of guys at the front looking for employment. That hasn't changed, but we've got a little seating area out the front, you see. And a place for people to come out and read, even under shade, if they want to. Excuse me, boys, let me through. Yes. So yeah, this was interesting / fun to build because of these guys here. Because each one should still have, they have their trades for 1 emerald per book. So that took a couple of goes with zombies and curing up, and you know, to show yourself. So we had some fun with that. But the building itself was relatively quick and easy. Lots of bookshelves. It's a library, you know. But this allowed us to upgrade all our kit. I was very grateful for this once we had it made. And it stands out as a kind of a community building towards the center of the village. You'll notice that a few of the houses have gardens in the back, and a couple of them have pig pens and chicken coops, bits and pieces like that. So we'll do a little bit of a walk around. Some of these buildings have interiors, some of them don't. Those librarians are quite loud, aren't they? For example, this one, that's missing a door. It must have been beaten down by zombies when I wasn't watching. So there's a couple of little bits and pieces still to be tidied up around here, but for the most part it's cleaned up. And while we're here, let's jump on up to this little area here, because this sea has down behind here a bit of a secret. Anybody hasn't seen this? This is our secret door to our storage area, which is way down here underground. Now, this is for the guy who lives above us. And remember I was saying he goes to the nether, unknown to anybody else? Well, this is where all the nether goodies are stored. So like I said, separating everything else out, having different storage areas for different things. This is the nether stuff. And I might as well show you while I'm here. This is the access to our nice skeleton grinder area down below. So I put in a little removable floor there to make it a bit fun, and also to continue with the theme that it's secret and safe. Nobody knows. Once we get down here towards the bottom, we have a separate room for our skeleton grinder, which kept us in good stead for a while. I was about to make a mob farm, and ended up not doing it because I found a skeleton spawner, which is just over there a little bit. And we made this instead, and I used this for XP. And under here, you see, this is where we gather up our resources from the skeletons. And it kept us in XP pretty good for most of the run. So through here, we made an enchanting room, so we could use that XP. And we decorated it up as well with nether blocks to to continue that theme. And just in here is our enchanting table. We even have some things here that we already enchanted up and we didn't want, or whatever. There's a lot of diamonds. I left a lot of diamonds down here. I guess I was making gear with it, wasn't I? So that's where they stayed. So once you're done in your enchanting room down here, you take this little secret door back here, you see. And this leads into a sewage system type underground area, you know. It's a bit dank. It's a bit miserable. It's a bit overgrown. You can imagine if Minecraft had rats, this is where they would live. And then we can go right back up here. Takes us all the way around so that we're up and underneath our bridge with an automatic secret hiding door. Like that, in the side of the bridge. And the whole thing is very furtive, isn't it? And that will bring us up here to where our secretive guy lives. Right? This guy is the one who's been going through to the nether and gathering all these things. So his house kind of shows it, doesn't it? I think he fancies himself as a wizard of some sort. He's in his early stages of exploring his new identity. But he's starting to decorate his house accordingly, I think. Yeah, this guy has plans. I'm not sure he knows what they are yet, but he's getting there. And to quickly show you some of the consequences to his actions, because he's been going up into that portal up there, another portal that opened up way back here, and even he wasn't aware of this, and it had spilled the guts of the nether out into the overworld without anybody realizing. Now this area originally was going to be spread out a little bit more. I thought maybe we would make some sort of a building over here and continue that story that the nether was spilling itself out. But other projects took over, so this didn't get as much attention as it otherwise might have. But it still looks pretty cool, I think, here, and it adds to the lore of the place as well. But that's all it is. There's not much more to it. So back to that guy's house over here, so that we don't lose our bearings. We'll continue our progress through the village and go up through his little veggie garden here. See, he's got quite a lot of stuff going on. He even has a pig pen over here, which is notorious for capturing not just pigs, but villagers that will get stuck in there occasionally. We have the occasional iron golem, of course, around the village. There's a few of those knocking about the place. And every now and then you'll have little seating areas like this and congregation areas for the villagers to gather. We have some back alleys and hidden places and spots. I think in a couple of these spots I put little storage areas and things like that, but I honestly have forgotten myself where I did that. There's a lot of nooks and crannies around the village. Also, don't forget our nice little custom birch trees that we put in here. These were fun to put in, and they're just a little different for the eye outside of the normal birch tree that grows around here. And of course the island, as you'll see, was pretty much covered in birch trees when we started. We took down most of those. We replaced some of them with those custom birch trees you'll see there in the distance. The place is hustling and bustling with plenty of villagers, of course, and some of these areas here will have furniture inside and beds. This guy is busy here in his kitchen area, and he's got a little bedroom area and a writing desk and a seating area. And yeah, a few of the houses have fully decked out, but then others like this have nothing at all. So it's much of a muchness. I can't remember myself if I've decorated a particular house or not. I have to look in it to find out. This one here is Ye Old Shop. I almost forgot about this. We did this on the same day that we went and got Pigstep, I believe, because aside from all the fishing gear that is sold in this shop here for the local fishermen and the docksiders there to come. Hello, I've created a trap apparently. Can you get out if I do that? Yeah, off you go then. All I need is one, right? Yep, bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. Okay. Well, Yeah, we had also we had some records here for sale too, and one of the records that I wanted to get to sell in this ostensibly was Pigstep, which we got and we brought over to the farm area, which I'll show you in a little while. This area over here is the more wealthy part of the village. People will recognize who have been around for a while, and they have little private beach areas like this and nice places to live, right? This one over here is a particularly private house. Some people might like to live in if they got the chance. I think I know some people that have their eye on it already. And this is nice and cozy in here. They've got a nice seating area beside their fire, and they've got their big bed that's ready for anything, that bed. And they have an upstairs as well with a guest area. Fancy. Yeah, it's probably not the fanciest house in the place. I think that one is this one over here. Yeah, this one has a lot going on. It even has staff ready to cook you your meal. That's a sushi chef apparently, by the looks of it. And this has a couple of upstairs bedrooms, I think. Yes, it does. And downstairs we have living rooms, dining rooms, writing areas, kitchens. It's a bit over the top, to be honest, for medieval. These people had a lot of money apparently. Ah yes, and not to forget the little veggie patch down there and a seating area that I created, which has sun loungers and a little canopy over it to look out on the ocean, which I thought is quite nice. It's quite peaceful. I kind of wouldn't mind living there myself. So as we make our way back over this side of the village, you can see there is the house on the hill, and over that direction is Mine Mountain. We have the entrance here to one of the later builds in the village, which is the community building. You can see here it's set up, it looks somewhat like an old European style church, but it is not a church, it's a community building for the villagers to come and congregate. We have some people here worshipping walls apparently, and some oh hello. Okay, he's taken care of. Little bugger, how did he get in there? Can't be too careful with your lighting, can you? All right, let's be careful as we go through. So as you can see, we've got our lectern area. Yeah, I know I'm in your spot, buddy. Like, just give me a minute. All right, I'm showing people around. And yeah, people would stand up here and speak to the congregation / community. And we have some little bits and pieces that are kept around. This is only the episode before last. So go back and watch it if you want to see the making of this and what's in it. We'll pop down there. That's a little elevator to below. We'll pop down there in a little while. Won't go down there just yet because I want to do the above ground first. Back out the gate, and around the corner we find ourselves in the marketplace. Towards the center of the town, they have a regular marketplace in here, and it's busy today, isn't it? We also have our second animal over here, which is old Sinatra, Blue Eyes himself. Likes to sit these days by the fish stall and protect it, right, Sinatra? Yeah, and he's protecting the fish. We have a wandering cart that come in with a trader that is selling honey and bee accoutrement, if you like. And all of these areas have their own typey thing. This is for wool. Actually, what I was going to do was move out some more of the storage into these areas. I guess I got a little bit tired of having to wander around for things, so I didn't do it. Oh, one thing very quickly. Over here is one of our early builds, which is just a tunnel that I put through this hill that stands in the middle of the village here. And the reason I did this is because I kind of like to build with the surroundings in mind. So if there's a hill or if there's a hump or if there's a hole or whatever, try to work with it as much as possible. Sometimes I'll do some landscaping, if you will, but a lot of times I'll try to work with it. So right here, this was in the way. So I dug a hole and made myself a tunnel. If we walk down by the riverside here, I can bring you around to the rear of another building that was relatively late in the series. And this is our forge right here. This is the back of it. Let's run around to the front. And there's the front of it right there. This was another fun build. I quite enjoyed putting this together, and all the chimneys look pretty good. This was the start of this side of the village, which ended up filling out a little better. But before that, all we had over here was a lot of grass and very little else. We also put some people in here, some villagers, but I don't see them around. We had Skunk and we had Nancy, but they must be meeting at the bells right now. But as you can see inside, it's all set up for a forge, for people to make swords and armor and all the kind of things that they make in here, and tools and bits and pieces like that. There's lots of things to see and do, sir. Again, if you want a more detailed view of all of that, you can catch that in its own episode, only a few episodes back in the series. Okay, now that we've made a day again, we'll wander our way down here. It's a little more overgrown, you'll find, and the pathways are not cobble, as you'll see. They're just pathway blocks. That's because this side of the village is not as urbanized, if you will. A little more rural. So we have a few houses over here. They are wealthier houses, so you might consider them the suburbs slightly. We do not have full interiors over this side, but what we do have down here is our nice stables. This is kind of the entrance on foot, on land, to the village, I suppose, from this side at least. You can see that if you were coming from over that direction, which is the farming area, or that direction, which is the fletching area and the forests where we get our wood from, you cross this bridge here and you kind of enter through to the village in this direction. So you have a place to leave your horse should you be inclined. And we have our horses in here, which in the last episode were named after some of you guys. So if you have missed that, go back and watch it. If you're a regular viewer, or if you have commented on videos, you may be in there as a horse, whether you expect it to be or not. And here is our last animal, I believe. Our last animal is Witness, our dog. Witness has seen some shit. That's right. And he's got quite a massive kennel here, which is not the prettiest thing in the world, but it sure does work. He's got his food bowl, and he's got his water bowl, and bones and meat around, and he's having a good time. He's having a good time. So let's run up here. Oh, before I do that, just behind Witness here, I'll otherwise forget it, around the beach is a little stage area. Nothing fancy here or anything like that. I just thought I'd show you. There's a natural kind of an amphitheater that was here, and we put some sandstone into it and made a stage area, so you can imagine the minstrels doing their things here, or the actors treading the boards. So we shall cross this bridge, which is one of two bridges that cross this river. The other one is down there, and it's not the large one, by the way. There's a humpback bridge, a little small one that crosses the river down there before it becomes more of a bay. And up here we have where we were doing most of the work that we did with wood. Anytime we needed wood, it got planted up here. So we have pretty much every type of wood up here. I believe we might be missing a couple. I'd have to rack my brains to think of it, but yeah, we've got most of them here. And this is our Fletcher's house. This was put up mainly to house our Fletchers so that we could trade with them to get emeralds. We have the wood here that we would turn into sticks and then trade with these guys, and they would give us half decent deals-ish, I suppose, wouldn't you guys, on emeralds. We have an upstairs in this as well, which is all just geared towards being able to have these guys easily accessed up here so that we can get our monies for the trading. But outdoors here, we have a fun little thing that I put together, which is our archery range spots here for our bows and our arrows and bits and pieces. And of course, nice targets that I can miss, just to show you how good I can miss. There you go. How's that for missing? And I almost forgot, but right at the back here with this secret exit, there is a place that our villagers like to go once they're finished with their archery practice for the day and of a weekend. They follow this path here, maybe in fast motion. Until they find themselves all the way out here at the brew house. This is the local tavern. It's not known by everybody in the village, but those who know, they know. And they like to come out here and spend their evenings conspiring and imbibing. And there's our bartender who apparently has decided to dance on the bar. Bit early in the night for that, mate, but whatever you're into. This is the war room. People come in here and there's a separate little bar in here for their private attendance so that they can conspire whatever conspiracies they're coming up with. Then in the back around here we have our storage area where all our barrels are kept, and that's where the booze comes from. And then upstairs here is our actual brewing facilities, as we can see. A floor up from that is the quarters, so that there is a place to sleep, which I should do now. And once the sleep has been had for the night, they can come downstairs and get brewing all over again. This is where I actually did most of my brewing for this series. I kept stores out here of whatever I might need to do my brewing and all the ingredients that are necessary for that. And I used this brewing stand and a couple of these ones to keep me supplied with potions and the like. So now that you've seen the brew house, what do you think? Would you like to face the swamp monsters of an evening to come out and have your drink out here in this local? I think I would. You know, it's got personality, doesn't it? So running back down here towards the village again, we get a nice view of everything over this side. And what I'm going to do is recross this bridge and then catch a boat. And this boat here will take me away from the village and around what used to be our cactus farm, which was just on this little patch of sand for quite a while until we moved it below ground, and I will show you that in a little while too. But we start to come up on a small barge here with its sails furled. This is how trade goods make their way from the farming area over to the village area. So there's a little bit of trade going back and forth between these two spots because they are somewhat separate. We have our little dockway here and another pathway that leads our way up into the more agricultural part of our map. And now as we make our way over here up towards our barn, you can see things coming into shape, and we've got a couple of silos over there for holding grain. You can see they've got their own crane style thing to bring the grain up and down, and they have some pipes between to allow the grain to run freely between the silos. Some nice custom trees. This one I'm quite proud of. That was one of the first ones I did over here, and I like the look of it. We'll take a quick look in our barn. One thing that hasn't been completed, though most things have. I'm quite happy that a lot of things have been completed. One thing that from the start, this barn was built very early, and I always meant to put a loft in, and I never did. But anyway, I did put in a seed composting station though. I managed to do that, and we've got a lot of bone meal still around for the growing of the crops. Now I make my way past our little pond towards one of our custom trees, and we'll go over this direction first and hop up on one of these hedges here so that we have a better idea of the lay of the land. And now we can see that our apiary is over there. That's where we keep our bees. Another custom tree there. Lots of fields over this direction, and that's our main farmhouse over there. So let's go see the apiary first. Past the fields, past the custom trees, and in to see the bees. Now this one I built on a diagonal. One of the first buildings that I had built on a diagonal for this world. And it turned out pretty well. Probably could do with a little more decoration in here. This was relatively early days though. and it did the business, because really what I wanted it for was somewhere to house these bees so they wouldn't fly off, as we all know, into the nothingness and leave me crying behind them. We have plenty of them now, plenty of honey, plenty of honeycomb should we need. Excuse me, you cannot leave with me. No. Oh, he made it. Okay. All right, you deserve freedom, I guess. Go, pollinate the world. Are you just going to sit there? That's cute. I don't think I've ever seen them just sit down. Over here, there's another little pond place and another. This is our other custom tree. I quite like this area here. I should put a bench or something, shouldn't I? We have the sounds of our bees just here. And a nice peaceful pond to do some fishing in. Yeah, I like this area a lot. I think in real life I'd spend some time here. Sit by the tree, read a book, watch the bees. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? All right, let's run over and see our main farmhouse. So there's multiple pathways through all these fields, of course, and each of them has been decorated up to some extent. And this one will lead you, as well as this pathway, towards this house here. I think I have beds in it, so I might use the bed that's in here. I'm going to do a little bit of a fly around so you can see this farmhouse from different angles. It's got, as you can see, a little veggie patch out the back. And now you can see farm in better stead. That tree is in the way. I should have taken that out of there because it kind of ruins the picture slightly. But I wanted to keep it fairly rustic around here, so I left that tree in. Plus it looked kind of interesting as trees go. Natural trees in Minecraft at least. So yeah, it's like a two-winged type house with all sorts of stuff happening at the roof level. Yeah, it's quite complicated looking build. It's just a lot of angles, really. So when you go inside, after we get in through our nice garden, I quite like the garden too, we have an actual decorated house with a kitchen and a living room and a desk area and some bookshelves and multiple beds, because there's multiple farmers in this family that live out here. You'll have seen some of them in the fields. And the special thing, aside from the nice veggie patch out the back, in this house is that they have a disco. I don't ask me why. They've got their own nightclub with party favors as well. Yeah, so their favorite thing to do of an evening, of course, is to crank up the old pig step. Only kidding, we're not going to start doing that again. I'd be here all day dancing the pig step. But that is our nice farmhouse with the built-in nightclub. Back over at the house on the hill so that we can make our way over towards the iron farm. We will skip the internals of the community center. I'll come back and I'll show you what's underneath that in a moment. But I'm going to take a boat out here in this direction towards the iron farm. Now the iron farm itself was made fairly early on, but this structure, well, that's last episode, isn't it? So since you guys have seen it, there's been a couple of small changes. Number one is we have an actual stairway up. We don't have to hop our way up along the cliff face anymore. And this thing takes a full screen to look at. If you want to see some better shots of it, have a look at the last episode there. It's well worth it. Inside, there's not a huge amount of detail in it, especially the entryway, which could do with some sprucing up, some extra details, but for now, this is what we've got. Took a lot of building this, and I've got a couple of extra walls in here to separate things out. First and foremost, this is an iron farm, and as I speak of it, I forgot to turn it on. So as you can see up there, I've got an on and off switch made with target blocks. So on the green side, if you hit that target block, you turn it on, meaning that glass blocks are pulled up and the villagers can see the pillager that's in the center there and get scared and create iron golems. If you hit the red side, it does the opposite and closes it down, which is the state it's in at the moment. So let's see if I can hit this and get it started again. Almost. Not quite. Third time's a charm. And there it goes. We should see some iron golems any minute now. The rest of this is a storage area for what we get from our iron golems. So of course we have our poppies, and we have plenty and plenty of iron that we got from that. Over here, of course, for those of you who have watched the series, you know that what is below us is not nothing. There is a creeper farm below us, and that supplies us with plenty and plenty of gunpowder, of course, and all that mechanism is in behind there as well. This is an on-off switch for that creeper farm too. If we wanted to stop collecting, we can do that as well. And that's what that whole thing is, and that giant building is there just to cover that up. I'll have a quick fly around this building so you get a little bit of a better view of it. You see there's a few differences on either side. There's towers on two sides of it that are different heights, and it's got plenty of vines knocking around it, and these flying buttresses that caused me a bit of problems when I was making it. So for our last little bit before I forget, I'm going back into the community center right here, and look at this. He's not interested, buddy. I just don't think he's that into you. Can I have it? Okay. What if I take it? Happy. Okay. Let's go down into the caves below. Ow! My face! This place is unsafe. Obviously, I need better lighting in here. Okay, I will get right on that. For now, let's go down into the caves below the community center, which drops us into this area here. And this has changed a little bit since you've last seen it. We have done a little bit of decorating and overgrown it slightly. This is the magic tree. This grew down here. There was an area open just over here previously, and I think it was enough light in the world, or enough open space in the world when it was being generated, that it allowed for this birch tree to grow here. And I left it there because it was such an oddity, really. But yeah, this place is overgrown since you were here last. And aside from vines and more vines and leaves and nether vines and things, it houses some rooms down here too. Let me just show you here too. You've got these boardwalks that have appeared. So if we go underneath here, and there's this secret area where you can come out, and there's lots of storage spots up here, and a boardwalk to walk around for the villagers. But underneath, over on this side, we've got a room here which houses our super smelter. So all of this is smelteries. These are 3 separate large smelters that I wanted to keep that way so that we could do multiple different items at different times. Each one has its own switch. And of course we've got mine carts going across on the top to feed those smelters. And quite nice. I'm happy with the roof as well. We use smithing tables in the roof there. And I think it looks fairly good. Over here we have this area here, which is more of a deserty style kind of a building. And in here we have our giant cactus farm. And this thing provides cactus for as long as we'll ever need cactus, I suppose. This one will run in the background, and as long as you're up in the village above, will continue to give us cactus. As much green dye as we like, and prickly things for the people that we don't like. And across the way here we have the oldest building down here, the oldest hole in the ground, if we do say, down here. I don't know if I ever showed you guys this, but all this behind here, like there's little things down here. There's crafting tables and storage, and you know, it's not just for looks. This is currently housing our bamboo farm and our sugarcane farm, which can be switched out at any given time. So it was just sugarcane to begin with, and then I swapped this out. Once I got my hands on some bamboo, I immediately not immediately, but almost immediately. Swapped it out for bamboo farm as well. And now we have plenty of bamboo and plenty of sugarcane as well. Again, this all runs as I'm up in the village without my intervention. This was early on when this was put together, but I still kind of like it. I used a lot of these note blocks down here, and if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't really notice them that much in the floor. But I like them. I like them pretty well. And it's all kind of green themed too. So what do you think of that? Is it too overgrown? It's a lot. It's a lot. You can climb these posts. Get up on top. That's handy, isn't it? And a bit of good exercise for you. Yeah. But that's going to be it for this area. And we can use our up elevator just here. That brings us back into the community center. Oh, it's gotten to be nighttime. So now it's going to be dangerous outside, not just inside. And so you can see there has been some major changes since we first arrived at this place, which I subsequently discovered was an island. I didn't realize when I was working on foot for quite a while that this was an island. And once I did, I treated it as such, started to make more bridges. But we filled it up pretty nicely, and then over at our agricultural area, our farm came together after that first build of the barn had set the stage for that whole region as well, even out towards a little dockside leading off to other lands nodded towards on the other side of that farm space. But that's about all the time that I've got, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to join me in our next series, which will be based in Java 1.18 and will be on its way in the next few weeks. Don't you worry. In the meantime, stay tuned to the channel. I'm going to have other bits and pieces of content coming up in the next few weeks, including more tutorials like the ones that I got out a couple of weeks ago. And I'll be working on other things as far as content goes. So you might see some Reddit or some Instagram stuff. We'll see what's going on. Maybe even a Discord at some stage if you guys call for it. In the meantime, you can join me on Twitter if you so like. The link will be in the description, and will help you keep up to date on what the plans are coming up in the near future. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me for this adventure and for the adventure of the entire season. I very much enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed my company for that time. Until next time, stay safe, have fun, and I will see you in the next season.